Welcome to Your Life Podcast, the place where life becomes that little bit simpler. Thanks for joining me on the Your Life Podcast. I'm Angela Lockwood, and in this episode I'm interviewed by Luke and Susie of The Luke and Susie Show. Now each year I ask myself 10 questions, the same questions usually at the end of the year, as a way to have a bit of reflection about the year that was and to try to make some better decisions about the year ahead. Now my favourite question out of all of them is, what are you most proud of? In fact, it's the first question I ask myself in the series of 10. And I go through some of my findings with Luke and Susie, and it really is an interesting insight into what you truly value when you ask yourself, what are you most proud of? Enjoy.
Faith, Family, Culture, it's Luke and Susie with you. And I read a blog recently.
Yep.
It was called 10 Questions to Ask Yourself. And I thought, I don't know. I don't know that I want to do this.
No, and then when you started reading it, I could basically 10 times I heard you go, "Oh, good question." You don't want to answer them, but you can identify that they're really good questions.
Yeah, they are great questions, actually. But we are going to get brave. Well, I'm going to get brave, and we are going to look at these questions and why it's important that we ask them to ourselves. Angela Lockwood is our guest next. Angela Lockwood is our guest from angelalockwood.com.au, the author of Switch Off. And Angela, you recently wrote this blog post about 10 questions to ask yourself. You asked yourself these 10 questions and came up with a bit of a view of what happened in 2018 and I guess a bit of a picture of what can change come 2019. Do you do this process every year?
I do. And I love that we can talk about this right now because November is actually the time that I do it. Every year, it's just one of my non-negotiables. I get my 10 questions out and I go through it. I have one little book that I have kept all of my answers to my 10 questions in for quite a few years, actually. And it's really interesting to look back and reflect on how things have changed. But on the other side is how much things haven't changed and what behaviours I've actually carried through over the last few years that I really need to have a good look at.
When answering these questions, how much does it matter to, I guess, the logical answers that you know to be true versus the emotional answers that might argue with the logic in your head? Let me give you an example. Question number one we're going to deal with. What am I most proud of this year? If I was to create a list of the things I'm most proud of this year, there'd be one thing which logically would go onto my list, but emotionally it wasn't as successful as I wanted it to. So there's this. I'm not quite as proud of that as I want to be. The emotion and the logic are different.
Oh, what a great point, Luke. I think this is a thing that most people challenge with is what should I say to what do I really want to say? And one of the things I always take an approach working through this, not just for myself but also with clients, is you've got to be honest with yourself, right? So you can't answer these questions when you're in the middle of chaos. Like, don't do it while you're making dinner and helping the kids with lunch, with their homework and making lunches and doing all that. Take time just to sit and be on your own. And that's why November's a really good time to do it, because it's the sort of almost the calm before the crazy December storm. It's the time where we're starting to round up the year, but we're not quite there yet. We know we've got Christmas coming up. So take the time. It doesn't have to take long. It can be an hour, it can be half an hour, however long you want, just to sit and be on your own, somewhere that you feel calm, and answer the questions really honestly, because otherwise what we'll do is we'll be writing a list of shoulds rather than really connecting in with the answers that, are going to make a difference for us in the coming year.
All right. Well, we're going to get to question number one next, Suze. What am I most proud of this year? And already, that's an intimidating question to have to answer because it's so easy for our brain to go for all the things that we're not proud of. Let's get to this next with Angela Lockwood, our guest.
It's Luke and Susie with you, Faith, Family, Culture, as we catch up with Angela Lockwood from angelalockwood.com.au, where you can find this blog post, 10 questions to ask yourself. And Angela, the first question is this: what am I most proud of this year? So when you ask yourself this question, what are we kind of trying to learn from it?
Well, Luke just sort of, before the break, he really alluded to what the biggest challenge is answering this question, is that you can actually feel quite uncomfortable acknowledging what you're proud of in the first place. We know it's always really hard to give ourselves pats on the back when we've done a great job. And the things that you're most proud of is actually the things that connect with you most closely. So they're really closely linked to what you value and what is really important to you. So if you look through your list of what you've been proud of, you might have 1, you might have 10. But what you'll know is the ones that you're writing down based on, oh, yeah, that was good, but the ones that you will write down that really connect with you and you go, yeah, actually, good on you this year, they're the ones that are really closely linked to the things that really matter to you. Does that make sense, Luke?
So I mean, this is, I guess, going back to that logic versus emotion sense, is that you go, logically, I should be proud of this. It doesn't really float my boat, but this thing over here, oh my gosh, I'm just so pumped. Like, is that emotional response sort of shows your core values in a sense?
Absolutely, it does. I know last year when I was looking back, so I wrote Switch Off. It was released in 2017. And when I did this activity at the end of last year, I didn't write my book down as the thing I was most proud of. And it was a real aha moment for me because it wasn't the actual release of the book that I was proud of. It was the what had happened after it that I was most proud of, and that was being able to connect in with people and share my message. So it was a really big thing for me that I had to sort of learn about myself, that it's not really the product that I'm most proud of. It's actually the things that I can do with that product once it's out. So hopefully that makes sense for people, that it's not often the things that really jump and slap you in the face that you need to be most proud of. Sometimes it's when you dig a little bit deeper, you go, actually, what really matters to me is the things that I do underneath all of that or as a result of.
Are we trustworthy enough to answer these questions, Angela? I don't know. I don't know that I've earned the trust. Like, so let me give you the example. As a combination on radio, and I've had different co-hosts over the years. I haven't always been on air with Susie. And I remember one exercise we went through with one team where after every shift, we got asked what was the best thing from the show, what was the worst thing from the show. And almost every time that whatever I put as the best thing, somebody else in my team put as the worst thing we did from the show, and vice versa. That are we... like, I mean, you can put it down to just different perspectives, but I feel like sometimes we are either too proud of ourselves or not proud enough, maybe is probably more commonly the thing, that we don't realise the value of what we've done.
Yeah, this is a really complicated one, isn't it? Because we're complicated beings and we can look at one scenario. Two people can look at the same scenario, the same situation, and have totally different response. That's why when we're going through these 10 questions, it can't be based on what other people think about what you should be proud of or what you've done this year. It has to be 100% about how you feel about the year that was, because my gosh, the amount of times people learn so much from this activity, it brings me so much joy when I get the email through after every November. People go, wow, I didn't think that such a simple question could unlock so much. But it really comes down to being honest about what really matters to you.
Can I ask you, after you've answered these questions for yourself, do you ask your husband what he's most proud of in you this year?
Do you know, I don't. And partly because when I go through this, it really is a self-exploration experience. He'll have a different perspective, but do you know what? I think I might. I think that's a really lovely thing. And it's really about finding the people whose opinion you really value. And yes, my husband is one of those, so it might be worth asking that. That's a great point, Susie.
But she's only bringing it up because she wants my help to come up with ideas.
You've got to do the 10 questions yourself first.
Can Luke help me with my homework? Angela,
I just learned a lot about you, Susie. I love it.
You've been great answering this question for us. What am I most proud of this year? One of the 10 questions. We're going to look at another one next week. Angela, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. To find more ways to slow down and simplify your life, follow the Your Life podcast on Spotify and iTunes. And let's connect on LinkedIn and Instagram. Just look for Angela Lockwood. Don't forget, it's your life. You choose how to live it.